BeFM 부산영어방송 Global Talk Concert, The Invincible You. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine. I'm the host of Morning Wave in Busan. And as you can see on the stage, the radio station is 90.5 BeFM. I want to give a big thank you to Chad. Let's give Chad one more round of applause. All right, let's get started. So, you know, for all of you today, most of you are university students, and I think that sometimes it's very natural for people to reminisce, to think back to their childhood, or for people in their mid-40s or 50s, like older people, you might want to look back to your university days. But for those people who are in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, you know, you start to see, you know, white hair or, you know, white whiskers and things like that. But you might have seen a TV show. I can't say the TV show name here, but it's about the three guys, you know, in their mid-40s or traveling all around Europe. It's really popular. The reason why is that they are still searching for their dream. They're still looking. They're not in their teens. They're not in their 20s. They're not university students. They're pretty successful in their own right, but they are still looking for that dream. And, you know, they're not afraid of dreaming, and I certainly hope that you are not either. BeFM has prepared this Global Talk concert, and it is titled, as you can see behind me and in front of me, it's called The Invincible Youth. Right, what does invincible mean? It means that you're unstoppable. And so certainly, I hope you are all unstoppable. This event will allow you to hear from our wonderful speakers. We have two great speakers lined up for today, and you're going to hear about their stories and their great tips for you as a university student and when you graduate. This is the second Global Talk concert, and it's being presented to you here at Kim Kwanum-heng Hall of Donghua University. So we're really excited to be here, and definitely I hope that you can join me throughout. All right, without further ado, the first speaker for today is a director of a multinational pharmaceutical company. The company's name is Sanofi Aventis Korea. And it's one of the world's top 3 pharmaceutical companies. He's going to give us details of the direction and of the attitudes a global leader should have. So I hope you listen carefully. He's going to talk about his own experience working in France and in Korea. He's going to give you advice for interviews, right? And so definitely, I think you should be really excited to meet him. Let's meet him right now. His name is Mr. Hervé Studer, Director of Sanofi Aventis Korea. Please help me give him a warm hand. Mr. Studer.
Yes, hello. I'm very happy to be here in front of you. There are much more people than I expected, so I'm very glad to be here. I have to say it's a big challenge to come after Chad, who has given such a great show, so I'm a bit scared that you're going to be bored by my speech, but I'll try to do my best to give you some advice that I hope will help you. And I would like to thank also BeFM for giving me the opportunity to talk here today. So today I would like to talk to you about interviews, because I understand you're all students. Most of you probably will graduate very soon, so one of the next steps in your life will probably be to start to enter a company or do a work. So I was thinking I could give you a few hints about what I could advise you to do for interviews. So probably you could have found thousands of people who know more than me, but I will try to give you my humble tips, and I hope it's going to help you. So I will give you a few general advice about interviews, actually from an article I found a few years ago and I found really good. And then after, from my own personal experience here in Korea, I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about what I think companies really expect when you go to interview, what you should be careful of and what you should not care so much. And then what I would advise you to prepare for the interview and to do during the interview. So I hope it's going to be valuable for you. So first I put a few pictures together. So I've been in Korea for about 10 years. My wife's Korean, I have 2 young kids, so I put my family picture here. And I try to put also some pictures of my company to give you an idea of how it looks like. So this is our main boardroom. When this person is our CEO, global CEO, he came from France, so we had one-day meetings to explain him what we are doing here in Korea. In our company, we have a lot of small meeting rooms because we really want to have people talking together in an informal way about any kind of subject. So instead of having only seats, we build a lot of small meeting rooms where people can gather like here and discuss together. And also I work in a pharmaceutical company, so we think for us it's important also to be part of Korea or the Korean community of helping people, helping poor people, helping sick children. So we also do quite a lot of actions for that. So here is a picture of some of our team doing some action for poor people in Korea. So let me go to the core of my presentation. So as I said, probably there are many people who have done more interviews than me. Actually, I've probably done 10 or 20 interviews as an interviewee when I was looking for a job, and probably about 100 interviews as an interviewer when I was interviewing people who want to work in our company. So I've seen a few of them, and then 2 or 3 years ago, I was reading a newspaper and I came to this article that was talking about interview, giving some tips about what to do and not to do. And as I read through it, I found yeah, that's really good. Actually, indeed, I can really see that it really happens like this in interviews. So I'm keeping this article for me, and when I have other interviews myself, usually I go through it 1 or 2 minutes to remind me of what I should be careful of during the interview. So I will go through it a little bit quickly. I cannot go through everything, but I will go to the most important, what I think. So first one, there is a statistic. It's difficult to read, sorry for the quality. It says that 1/3 of the bosses, when they interview you, after 1.5 minutes, they have decided already whether they will hire you or not. I think it may sound crazy to say like this, because usually interview lasts 30 minutes or 1 hour. But from my experience, I can really say it's definitely true. Me too, probably half of the people I interviewed after 2 minutes, I already knew this kind of people I want to work with, or these are not the people that would fit in our company. So what it means is that the first impression is really, really important. So you should really keep that in mind. When you come to an interview, if you already come late, it's already very bad to start with. And when you come, you introduce yourself and you start to talk about yourself, the first few words, the first few sentences you say has a big impact on the rest of the interview. So you should really be well prepared for this part. Then you may think, what is the most important when I do an interview? Probably is what I'm going to say if I'm able to convince the people that I'm motivated or something like this. Actually, when there was some analysis about that, what you say counts for only 7% in the final decision. So what you say is not so much important, really. What is more important, for 40%, is the quality of your voice, your grammar, how confident you are. I think that's really important. When we have interview and some person is not able to speak properly their own language, or are always very scared and don't speak in a confident manner, it doesn't give a good impression and you don't have much chances to be selected. But still, the most important, for more than 50%, is the way people dress, act, come into the room, the impression you give. And I think this is really important for you to think about that, because I was myself also a student 15 years ago, and when you're a student, you think company is a rational environment, people will look at logically everything. It's not true. We are all human beings. And so more than rationality, feelings, impression count much more than that. And for interview, it's the same thing. The feeling you're going to give to people, do you look like a good person to work with, an interesting person to work with, is more important than what you're going to say. So I think this is really a key thing I would like to keep in mind. Don't overestimate the rationality of things in companies or in interviews. So what are the most common non-verbal mistakes that people do in the interview? There are a lot, but I will just look at 2. The biggest one is failure to do eye contact. Actually, it's true, you know, if an interview lasts 30 minutes, if the person in front of me is never looking at me, I'm going to think he really has no confidence. This person, how can this person work in our company? So I'm not saying you should stare at the person for 30 minutes or 40 minutes straight. That's not good either. But at some time, you should engage with the interviewer also. Have a look, see how he or she feels, or how he or she acts. If you fail to do that, you will really look like someone who lacks confidence. Then another big mistake is lack of knowledge about the company where you apply. And that, I think, also, it's a big advice I give to you. It doesn't take a long time to learn a little bit of the company. You go to the website, you take 5 minutes, you see what this company is doing, what's the big vision of the company, which kind of product they have. At least you should do that, because if you go to an interview and you don't even do that, I think you have no chance to be selected, because it means either you're unprepared, and then companies don't like unprepared people, or it means you just don't care about this company. So then why I should interview you? So really make the effort, spend even if it's just 5 minutes, know a little bit about the company. At least when you receive a question, what you know about our company, you can say, oh yeah, your company, you make this kind of product, and your vision is so-so, is already enough. But at least this one you should know. Okay, so I will go to our next slide. So what are the most common mistakes people do during interview? There are a long list, for instance, not knowing the company, or not showing enough interest or enthusiasm. I think this is really true. I will talk to it later. What I think is really important in an interview is to show motivation and enthusiasm. People want to work with people who have a passion, who are motivated. If a person comes to the interview and looks totally not motivated, it will not be recruited, at least in my company. And also, this one I think is quite interesting for you. What are the 5 questions most likely to be asked? And why is important? Because I think the more prepared you are, the better you will succeed in the interview. Now, you cannot be prepared for everything. Necessarily, there will be questions you didn't think about. So you don't need to be stressed about being prepared for 100%, because you cannot do that. But anyway, there are some things that will probably come. So these ones, if you prepare, it's a big plus for you. So what came from this survey? The most often asked question: tell me about your experience. I think this is also not just for people who look for the first job, but people who already had a job. So for instance, tell me about your experience in your previous job. Or in your case, if in your resume you did, for instance, you study abroad or you did an internship, very likely people will tell you, tell me about this internship, what did you learn, what did you do? So you should be prepared to answer something smart about that. Why do you want to work for us? This is a bit difficult sometimes for students to know, because it's your first job, but still it's good yourself you ask the question, if you apply for a company, why you would like to work for this company and not for another. And here, we don't expect you to know everything about the company and give a totally comprehensive answer, but at least think about it, why I'm interested in this kind of job or this kind of company. Third one, what do you know about our company? I talked about that already. Why do you leave your last job? This is irrelevant to you. And the final one that is comes the most often is, tell me about yourself. And this one also is like about knowing the company. It's not acceptable that you're not able to talk about yourself, because very likely people are going to ask you that. And me too, when I do an interview, in almost 90% of the cases, when I come, I just say, okay, you have 3 minutes, just introduce yourself, tell me who you are, what you did, why you're interested in this position, what you're looking for. So I think it's very likely you're going to be asked this question, so it's your chance. You can be prepared for that. So prepare something smart. It's your opportunity to show who you are and how motivated you are. So these were some general things coming out of this survey. Now a little bit more about really what I think, what are my experience, what companies are looking for. I think the most important thing is motivated people. Because based on my experience, no matter what you study at school, you're going to use 5 or 10% of it at most in the work. So we are not so much interested to know what you learned at school or how you were doing. The most important thing is, do you have passion? Are you motivated? Are you curious? I think, at least for in my company, this is the most important thing we look at. Because if you're motivated, if you have the passion, you're going to be able to learn a new job. You're going to be able to adapt to a new company, to work with other people. So really, for me, that's the most important. So I think it's really important that you show your passion and your motivation. So in your resume, when people ask you questions about your internship or what you did, really show how motivated you were. And the second thing is, we really look for proactive people, because I think these days, there's almost no job where you can just say, I'm going to just sit in my office and do what my boss is doing and just that. That's the requirement, but that's never going to be enough. What companies look for is people who are curious, who are looking for new things, who proactively propose something. So here also, I really advise you, if you're questioned about which internship you did or which exchange program you did, please really show find some example, even if they are very small ones, or in which situation you acted proactively, you had a new idea, you did something new. That companies will really value a lot, I think. Of course, we look also for positive mindset. Also logical people, I have to say, when I do interview, it's very important that people are able to answer the question I ask. So when I ask a question and people tell me an answer totally unrelated to my question just because they want to say something, this is a very negative point for me. Because I think after when we work in company, we are all very busy, so we need to have people who understand quickly the question and who are able to give us a simple answer. So that also, when you ask a question, don't speak about what you want to speak. Answer to the question, and it will be really good because company will understand that you have the ability to understand the question and to answer. And then companies also definitely, I think everywhere, they look at people who are able to integrate into a team. So you're probably going to be asked many questions of in which kind of circumstance did you work as a team? What was your role as a team? Were you rather a leader or a follower? And it doesn't really matter whether you're a leader or a follower, because in a team you need any kind of people. But what is important is that you are able to work in a team. What companies look probably less than what you expect? I think grades and universities. Me, personally, I don't look at it first because I don't know so much about the Korean overall system. I know the 3 big universities. I know 5 or 6 other famous ones, but beyond that, I don't really know if a university is good or not. And I don't always ask my Korean colleagues, this university, is it a good one or not good one? I don't really look at it. And even grades, yeah, I look at it, but it's not the most important thing, you know. I recruited many people who came from the best universities with the best grades, who left the companies after 3 months because they were unable to work in a company. And inversely, we recruited many people who came from universities I never heard about, not especially good grades, but they ended up being very good people to work in a company. So you shouldn't be overly focused on that. So if your grade is not so great, it's okay, you can still find a very good job. And if your grade is excellent, don't think that that's going to give you the best job for sure. It's not really like this. And the second one, your written introduction, I was a bit surprised coming to Korea to see always this written introduction because it's not so much the culture in my country. But me personally, I never look at it because I believe they're all the same. I don't really believe people write it by themselves. It's very general comments. So for me, I never read it. And my advice to you is when you are asked to introduce yourself, don't just read this letter because this letter is very general. That's not really what companies are interested in. Now, my last part is a few advice to you. So I will give you a few advice about how to prepare to interviews and how to act during interviews. It's pretty redundant, so it's more kind of a wrap-up. So in order to prepare for interviews, definitely, I think probably you heard that a lot, having internship is very positive. So I really encourage you to have something beyond just studying in the university in your resume. Internship, I think, is the best if you have the chance to do it because you will learn things about the company, it's good for you, and you will show also you have a motivation to work in a company to learn new things. So I really encourage you to do, if you can, doesn't matter if it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, but if you can do it, it's much better. Or if you cannot do internship, if you go to study abroad, that's also a very good positive thing because it gives a sign that you're curious, you want to learn something, you have different experience. So it will make it much, much easier really when you do interview if you have a few of these things beyond pure school in the resume, and then use them to show that you're motivated, that you're a curious person, that you're a proactive person. The second one, this, I don't know if it's just me or it's in general, but I hate to see mistakes in resume. Frankly, when I receive a resume with 2 or 3 mistakes, I don't even want to see the person. Because it's a little bit for me like not knowing which company you apply for. Is either you're unable to write properly, in which case you're not the person I want to hire, or it just shows that you really don't care about it. So again, why should I care about it? So I think resume is 1 page, so make sure you don't make a mistake in 1-page resume. Ask your friends to check also if there is no mistake. But I think this can eliminate you from the beginning, not even giving you the chance to go to the interview. And then this one I said also, be ready to explain yourself, who you are, what you did, what you're looking for, because very likely that's going to be the first question you're asked. two other things. So I talked already about that. Do a minimum of search about the company. Really take at least 5 minutes. And what is even better, I know in Korea, there is a lot of association of previous students and current students. So you have a lot of opportunities to meet people who are already working. So if you're applying for a company, try to ask your colleagues from university and find some people either who are working there or who are friends working there, and just ask them what is special about this company or something. Because when you do interview and we ask a person, what do you know about our company? And they say, yeah, I have a friend who's working there or who told me this and that. It's really good because it shows the person is interested, he made the effort to find someone to know about our company. So it really shows your motivation, your proactiveness. So if you can do, I really encourage you to do so. And then apply for a job you really want to get. That's my advice to you. I know when we are students, sometimes we say we are just going to apply for interview to get experience or something. I don't think it's a very good strategy because anyway, if you're not sincerely motivated to get a job, you're not going to approach the interview in the same way as if you really want to get the job. So you're not going to learn a lot, you're going to waste your time, you're going to waste the time of the interviewer. So I don't recommend you to do that too much. Then that was about how to prepare for the interview or how to act during the interview. When I came to Korea, one first thing that struck me, one day I interviewed 30 people in a row, and then I talked to my Korean people, I said, it's really strange here, because among all the 30 people who came, no one took any note during the interview. And then I realized it's a bit a Korean cultural thing, that people don't take a note during the interview. But when I was coming from France, in my country, I always took a note during the interview, and I think it's a bit common practice to do so. And when someone takes a note in front of me, I see it much more positively because I think, okay, this person really cares about what I say, about the advice I give, about what I tell him or her about the company. And so writing the note like this, I think it gives a positive impression. So I'm not sure you should do that in front of Korean recruiters because maybe it's not the culture, but if you're in front of Western recruiters, I think it could be a good idea to do that. Then I already said the first impression is extremely important. So always keep that in mind. Be on time, introduce yourself, and first say the nice things at the beginning so people have a good impression of you. Also, you don't pretend to know everything because sometimes when we interview people, they pretend they know everything about our company, about our industry. It just looks very arrogant because it's not possible to know so much. So I think you should know a little bit, but don't pretend to know more than you actually know. Everyone knows once after coming just from school, you don't have professional experience, so we don't expect you to know everything already. So don't be focused about that. And then in a state of mind, I think you should be respectful during the interview. Inversely, interviewers should be respectful of you also. And in my experience, it's usually the case. Interviewers are also very respectful of the interviewee. So you should be respectful, but not scared or not fearing. Or people in front of you, they are human beings like you. Maybe they will be like me, who have just 10 years difference with you, 10 years more experience. That's not such a big difference. So nothing you should be scared about or intimidated. And that's the final slide. So as I said already, when you ask a question, really make an effort to answer to that question. That's going to show that you can understand and you can give a logical answer. And I would advise you, if there's a question you don't understand, ask again, sorry, I didn't understand, what did you really mean? What was your question again? Can you repeat? So of course, if you ask each question to be repeated, you will look dumb and you shouldn't do that. But if there's something you really don't understand, ask again, because it's better to ask and answer properly to the question rather than to answer something that is unrelated to the question and look like someone who doesn't understand. And also, usually when I conduct interview, at the end, I always ask the interviewee, do you have any question for me? Feel free to ask me about this company, about this job, or about anything you want. And I think this is a very good opportunity. And I'm always a bit disappointed when people say, oh, sorry, I have no question. Because it looks like to me, I'm not so much interested. But when people ask a question, I think it really shows the interest. It shows people have a sincere willingness to understand or to know what this company is about, what this job is about. So I would also advise you, keep in mind 2 or 3 questions you may ask if you are given the opportunity. It will give you information you need, and it will also show that you are interested in this company. And then finally, when you leave the interview, I think it's a good practice to remind the interviewer again to thank him or her for the time and say, I was very glad to have this opportunity to have an interview with you. I hope I've been able to explain you who I am and why I'm interested in this job, and I think I can do a good job in your company. So if you give me the opportunity, then I will do my best to work in the company. If you end like this, it gives a much more positive ending message, and we will remind you, we'll remember you more when we have to decide finally who we hire. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope it was not too boring, and I hope it was some interesting thing, and I guess after there is a Q&A session where you can ask more questions if you have. Thank you very much.
Oh, stay on stage with me. So interesting. I hope you enjoyed Mr. Studer's talk. Mr. Studer, why don't you come right next to me? Don't be scared. All right. So we have what we're calling a Q&A session for Mr. Studer right now, and I'm sure you might have some questions for him. You can ask in English or Korean. 한국말로도 물어봐도 괜찮습니다. I will translate the question to Mr. Studer. But before we get to the Q&A, we have something called, yes indeed, the happiness of 10,000 won. 만 원의 행복. So what this is about is, what would you buy for 10,000 won as a university student? So I'll go first. Today, it was raining today. I don't know about right now, but it was raining earlier. 비가 왔잖아요. I dropped my umbrella and the handle broke. So with 10,000 won today, I would buy an umbrella. But I do want to ask Mr. Studer what he would buy for 10,000 won. Do you have an answer for us?
Yes, of course I have an answer, because you asked me to prepare for it.
Right?
So my answer is that if I were in a situation like this, a little bit difficult as a student, with 10,000 won, I would buy a map of the world. Oh. Why? Because I think positive thinking is very important. Always remember that. If you were born 50 years ago in Korea, you wouldn't be in the same situation as you are today. You wouldn't be able to travel abroad, probably. But now you can travel abroad. And so if you have a map of the world, even though you are in a bit of a difficult situation, you can look at there and say, where would I like to go? I would be interested to visit this country or that place. And I hope that would give you the motivation, the energy to achieve what you want to achieve, so that one day you can go to this place, you can discover new things, learn about yourself, learn about this place.
Yes, indeed. Well, in light of the map that you just discussed, we have a gift, I believe, if we can get it up on stage. Well, we have a gift for you, not for everybody, but just for the person with the most interesting question, right? So a little bit of a contest. So Mr. Studer is going to present this gift plus a handwritten note. So this can be yours. So can we have some questions? You can once again ask in English or Korean. If you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Questions in English? Oh, okay, in the front. Can we get a mic for him? Okay, we have the mic coming.
What does your company require to interview?
Yeah, actually, of course, it depends for which kind of job we open position. But as I said, the most important thing for us is motivated and proactive people. And I think that's really the key thing. Which major you do or something like this, it's much less important than who you are as a person. Are you motivated? Are you able to work in a team? Would you make a good atmosphere in the office? That would be much more important. Does that answer your question?
I have a feeling some students out here, they liked you so much they might apply to your company. All right, I saw another young man, yes, raising his hand. Can we get the mic to him? It's coming to you right now.
You told I have to show how much I am motivated and show your enthusiasm, but with my experiences. But it's really hard to show I am motivated. I have a passion to work here. Is that any exclusive way you talked, showing you're confident and you have passion? And is there any way to show that?
I think there is no exclusive way, but you know, it's true that sometimes, as I said, for one day we interview 30 or 40 people in a row, and usually they are students or people who already have a job together. And when we interview, it's very different, the kind of interview we do, because if people have already a job, it's much easier to ask them questions. What did you do in this job? What went well or not? For students, it's much more difficult because you have less experience that we can ask you questions about. However, I really believe you can always find some example of what you did as a student where you showed leadership or where you showed problem-solving capability. For instance, even if it's just a teamwork together project as you do as a team, you say, we had this project, we were not going anywhere, we had a problem, I had an idea, I thought, what if we go together, we go to this place and we brainstorm a little bit creatively. You can always find something like this, or in some family events, or we had to do something special and no one knew how to do, and I had an idea or something. So I think there is no exclusive way or something that works all the time. And I think it's not good to find something that works all the time. You should find something really that relates to you. You should make a bit the effort to think in which kind of situation I really showed this kind of characteristic, this kind of motivation. And I'm pretty sure if you think you're going to find one. And it has to be yours, because you maybe ask question after, more question later. And if you're just faking it and making something that's not true, people may notice that it's not true. So it's important that it's something true that really comes from you. It doesn't have to be something super big, that you make a great new invention that changes the world. There are very few cases like this. But there are a lot of small examples where with a very small behavior, you show motivation, proactiveness, this kind of thing. I'm sure you can find one by yourself.
What a good answer to a great question. Oh, I see a young lady in the maroon sweatshirt, right?
I heard that it's important to appeal the interest that, as I am an interviewee, to apply for the company. I'm interested in your company like this way or something. When I apply for Starbucks, I love coffee and something like that. As you're working in a pharmaceutical company, so have you ever hired someone who take those kind of things in interview or resume?
Yeah, sure. But again, don't make it too much unrealistic. So I think what we don't really like so much is people who come and say, I really love your company because it's the best company in the world or something. It's not really true, right? So I think it's important to be, because some people tell me like this, I think, well, they're just telling me a lie. So I think it's important to think yourself seriously, really yourself, why this company looks interesting to you. It's probably not the best company in the world on every aspect, but it's true that if you can show a little bit why you're somehow connected to the industry this company is working, or maybe the philosophy of the company, it's definitely really, really good. I think one thing really, all the companies now, they have a vision statement or mission statement to say what they want to do more broadly than just making products they do. I think if you look at this and you can find something that matches a little bit with you, it can explain a little bit why you think the same way. Yes, I think it's a good positive point. I recommend that for you.
Thank you. We have another, since we had two guys, I'm going to go with another female student in the glasses.
Thank you for your kind and great speech. Please tell us frankly why many Korean job seekers want to add a foreign company, welfare or salary? What?
Yeah, this is my personal opinion, so it may be right or it may not be right. I believe probably two answers. I don't think salary, because I think some Korean companies pay bigger salary than multinational companies. I think overall working environment and the fact that probably multinational companies are less hierarchical, more flexible than local companies. I think especially for women, definitely, I guess it's much easier to work in a multinational company. So that would be the first one, company culture that is less hierarchical, more open. The second one is also probably the possibility to, at some time, work in another country for this company, in the headquarters in Europe or in the US. That is probably, for me, these two big motivators that I found from people applying to a company like us.
Right. You know, for lack of time, I know you have more questions. I wish we had more time, but we have to move on. So right now, we're going to have Mr. Studer, of the 4 questions that were posed to you, if you could choose, I know it's difficult, to choose just one person, one recipient of your specially prepared and personalized gift.
Okay, I would take the second question, because I think he's really trying to find what I can do to really make the interview more successful, and trying to find some good tips. So I think it was a good question.
All right,
but sadly, the answer
up?
is not easy. You have to find yourself. But the question was good.
Yes, indeed. Let's get a round of applause. All right, and one last time, Mr. Hervé Studer. Yes, I like the atmosphere in here today. Definitely, you're proactive, you're asking really good questions. You're listening to the second edition of BeFM, as you can see on our stage, BeFM 부산영어방송 Global Talk Concert, The Invincible Youth. It's taking place at Kim Kwan-eum-heng Hall, right here at Donga University. We are ready for our second speaker of the day. And you know, these days, it's not enough just to be cute or pretty or good looking. To be stylish, that's also very important. You work on your own style, whether it's for the females out there, makeup. And by the way, I know men out there, guys, you wear that BB cream too, I know that. And also, you think about your clothing, your shoes. I'm kind of nervous because he might judge what I'm wearing today. But here is someone who says, your style is complete when basically it matches your life and your style. It all becomes one. It becomes kind of in unison. He worked for not one, but 2 government offices domestically here in Korea. Jobs that everybody wants to get. You'll be really surprised when you hear about this. But he bravely turned in his resignation to pursue his dream of tailoring suits. And you can kind of get a peek. He's very impeccably dressed today. Our second speaker is Mr. Todd Sample, who I hear wears a suit every day, 365 days a year. And the only time he puts it away is supposedly when he goes to bed. So we're going to find out if that's true. Let's welcome Mr. Todd Sample.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, one more time. Good afternoon. It's nice to meet you. 반갑습니다. 저는 Todd Sample이라고 하는데요. My name is Todd. I'm originally from the United States. I have lived in Korea I'm a little bit scared because you're pretty young. I came here in 1995. Wow, yeah. But I look young, right? Yeah, thank you. I am young. I came here in 1995. So right now it's almost 20 years in Korea. And I have had a very interesting time here in Korea, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my path to where I am right now. Of course, first I would like to thank very much Busan EFM for inviting me all the way down here. I came from Seoul this morning, and it's a real pleasure to be here. It's always fun to be in Busan and to meet new faces. So today, in the first presentation, you heard about interviewing, and I know many of you are getting ready to prepare for trying to find a job, and that's a really difficult thing, I know. 저도 그렇게 했으니까 취업 준비는 너무 얼마나 힘든지 직접 해봤으니까 알고 있어요. So today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about opportunity. And opportunity is a very broad word. It's a very general word. I think that when you're preparing for your career, your future, you're focused on spec, 좋은 spec, and okay, that's important too. But during Hervé's presentation, he mentioned that once you're in the company, they're looking for motivated people who are doing more than they ask you to do. And to do this, sometimes you need to see the big picture. 큰 그림 가지고 보셔야 되죠. So that big picture is kind of what I want to talk about today. So before I do that, you can see that my life in Korea in 19 years has been unique, I think. I came here as an English teacher in 1995. It was a very interesting job for me. I learned a lot while I was doing it. But I felt, I want to stay in Korea, but I want to do something different. English teaching was fun, but anyway, I wanted to do something different. So at the right time, I kept on trying to meet new people. I kept on trying to find new opportunities. And my eyes were always open, kind of like a radar, always looking for someone new to meet. And something new to do, an opportunity that other people didn't see. So in 2006, I started working at Kotra. You know Kotra, right? Kotra, 하늘에서 내리는 직장이잖아요. Yeah, right. Yeah, everybody wants to work at 그런 공공기관에서요. I know. So I worked at Kotra for 5 years, and my job there was promoting Korea. I was trying to help companies like Hervé's company come to Korea and invest. So my job there was PR, 홍보 관련 일 좀 하고 있었는데요. 홍보 투자 유치, 외국 기업 투자 유치 같은 홍보를 좀 저한테 좀 맡기고 있었어요. 그런 일은. So while I was there, I recognized, I kind of changed my mind. Like 정신 좀 차렸어요. Like, okay, this is Korea, and I recognize that there are so many opportunities around here that people are not seeing. And I wanted to be prepared for these opportunities, but I felt I wasn't prepared. So I had a good job, it was interesting, but I still felt, 뭐가 좀 부족하다. Something was lacking. So during my university, or during my job, I studied my master's degree. So 일하면서 대학원도 다녔고, so I studied at KDI graduate school, and that was very important because it broadened my network. So 그 수업 시간 동안 뭐 배우는지 기억 하나도 안 해요. I don't remember anything, but my relationships with my professors, because in Korea professors have a lot of power. They have a lot of power. They have great networks. They have a lot of influence. So I don't know about your classes, but in my classes, they were very quiet. I was the only foreigner. And the professor would say, 혹시 질문 있으세요? And everyone would say, And I would say, yes, I have 2 questions. And generally, the class time would be the professor and me, and the professor speaking to each other. And so for me, it was good. But everybody else thought, 또 이렇게 하는 거야. Yeah, so I thought, Anyway, it was a great opportunity for me. I took the opportunity and I grabbed it. So that's kind of the theme of my talk today. So I worked at Kotra for 5 years, and I felt, okay, everything that I can do, I did. Because the company has to allow you to do certain things. So for me, as Hervé mentioned, I have a lot of passion. 열정 엄청 많아요. 너무 넘치는데, the company won't let me kind of do that. So, 공공기관 is kind of conservative, and they're very 좀 보수적인 생각도 가지고 있고 그런 거. So I tried very hard, but anyway, it wasn't easy. So I said, okay, 5 years is enough, new opportunity. And I didn't think about going to another public company, but I thought, I found a new opportunity at 한전, 한국전력에서. I was the first foreign employee at 한국전력. So 한국전력의 최초 외국인 직원이었어요. And so for me, that was another new opportunity because it was new work and it was a new company and new people. And so when I went there, again, lots of passion. And I tried to create new opportunities, but again, thank you, but no thank you. That was kind of the reaction that I got. So I tried to find new opportunities. And after 3 years, so I was at Culture for 5, Hanjun at 3, and I thought, okay, I'm still pretty young, but I think it's time for a changing point, a turning point in my life. And that's one of the steps that I think I want to talk to you about today. In your career, it's not just a straight path. So Hervé talked about interviews, and I also did interviews at Hanjun for Shinip Sawans, and they would come and they would say, well, I would ask, why do you want to work here? And they said, because it's stable. I said, you're 23 years old. Why do you want stable? You should have passion. And I found that, well, okay. For me, I had that passion, so I thought, okay, to stay at that kind of job where I can't really show my passion or do what I want to do, I changed direction. So this year, I thought, okay, for about, I think about 5 years, I'm thinking about doing my own business in Korea. Of course, starting a business is very difficult, especially by yourself. Lots of competition, many challenges, many barriers. But I felt I was prepared because of all the experience that I had, because of the network that I had, and these are things that I continue to work on. So my first point that I want to make today is this. If you're looking, like at your age, 25, 26, if you're looking for a stable job, at my company, I wouldn't hire you because I want passionate people. Maybe 3 years, 4 years, learn a lot, and then change. And when you change, if you change after 3 months, I won't be happy. If you change after 3 years, I will applaud and say good luck to you, and I will help you. So that's important. Another thing that I learned was that people like to group together. And of course, it's very difficult to do this. It's very difficult to be alone. In Korea, people don't eat alone usually. They always go with a group. But sometimes when you go with a group, you don't see opportunities. So having courage to do something a little bit differently. Having courage to say, no, I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to be a leader. So you're pretty young, and I think when you enter the company, at the beginning, you're going to be a follower. But it's also important to be a personal leader for yourself. Think differently than others, do differently than others, ask questions when others don't ask questions. And at a Korean company, I know it's hard. It's not easy to do that. I did that, and 욕 많이 먹었어요, right? But I felt good inside. And so I think this is something that I want to emphasize to all of you. The next part is, I need my water bottle actually, varying your perspectives. So we tend to look at things like a water bottle, and if you look at it like this, you say, oh, Todd, yeah, that's a water bottle. But if you've never seen a water bottle, and you look at it like that, you just see a plastic circle. And if you look at it like that, it's a different circle. It's the same thing, but it's actually 3 different things that you're seeing. So to find opportunities, sometimes, like my job right now, I'm doing a tailor shop. 지금 그 맞춤 정장 그 매장 운영하고 있어요. And in Korea, there are many tailor shops. But before I started, I studied them. How are they doing this? How are they doing that? What are they doing well? What aren't they doing well? What does the customer want? What doesn't the customer want? So 그런 그 시장 분석 많이 했어요. Why? It's not a new business, but I want to do it differently. So in order to do it differently, I looked at myself, I asked my friends, what do you think? Because if it's just my perspective, maybe that's not enough. So this might be my friend, this might be my family, this might be someone who did the business and failed, that person might be the person who did the business and succeeded. I want to get everybody's opinion because this will help me understand the opportunity. Your network. For me, if I didn't have my network, this job would have been very, very difficult to start. Because if people don't know who I am, why would they come to my shop? There's a shop over there. There's a shop next to my office. Why should I go to Todd? So when I started, I have a pretty big network. I have almost 4,000 followers on Twitter. I have quite a few Facebook friends. I worked at a company. 한전 has 직원 25,000명 정도. Kotra 1,500명. So that's a lot of people. And 저는 외국인 저밖에 없었잖아요. So they know who I am. I don't know them, but they know who I am. So if I say, I'm starting a business, you should come. Oh, okay. So it's kind of a head start, right? So many people think, well, I'm only a university student. What about my network? Start now. Meet people outside of your university, outside of your dongari, outside of your age group. Those are the people who you want to meet. Meet people who are older than you. Just because you're 22, 23, if you're smart and you're courageous and you're creative and you have passion, they will recognize that, not the number next to your age. So build your network. And I don't have a lot of time today to talk to you about how to do that, but you have my email address and you can send me some email afterwards. I'll give you some hints. When I first came to Korea, and when I worked at Kotra, and when I worked at Hanjeon, every day I dressed like this. Always suit, sometimes pink shirts, sometimes red shoes, always a pink pocket square. And people said, you work at Gonggonggiwon. Why do you dress like that? Those people wear, 아주 통큰 바지, 반팔 셔츠, 삼디다스. Why do you dress like that? If I dress like this, people recognize who I am, right? I'm standing out. So this is something which I also want to recommend. Be different. Take the opportunity. On Friday last week, there was a morning program, a morning forum in Seoul. It happens once every month. And the speaker was the president of Facebook Korea. And I wanted to go there because I use Facebook for my business to promote my company. And I wanted to, well, maybe meet him, at least listen to what he said. So at the meeting, there were 800 people in the audience. And him. Facebook is not a small company, it's a big company. He's the president. So after the presentation, it's Q&A time. And I was the only foreigner there. But I really wanted him to recognize me. So I thought, well, after the presentation, if I run up to his table and introduce myself, maybe that's good, but maybe he's going to leave immediately. So maybe I won't have a chance. So the last Q&A session, they said, does anyone else have a question? I raised my hand. And there are 800 people there. I'm a foreigner, the only one. I asked my question in Korean. And so then you have 800 people looking at you. But the Facebook president, now he knows who I am. I contacted him on Facebook. I sent him a note. And he's going to help me. And that's good. Yay! So that's an opportunity. And if I didn't raise my hand, if I didn't have the courage to do that, this is where opportunities come. And you say, well, I'm only 22. No, raise your hand. Just ask the question. Personal branding. Again, I told you if I didn't have the image that I have, and it could be about my style, it could be about my Twitter followers, it could be about who people think I am. If I didn't have that, it's very difficult to start. So, Korea is a very competitive country. And generally people don't, 이거는 튀지 않은 사회잖아요. You don't, 튀면 안 된다. You don't stand out. But to see the opportunities, you have to stand out. So people need to know who you are. So for my business now, because of my Twitter, and because people know that I have a certain style, magazines started calling. And they said, would you like to model in the magazine? Yes, I would love to. Why? Because I'm a model? No, 이거는 모델 얼굴 아니고, 이거는 모델 몸도 아니고. But they called me. And they said, would you like to be in the magazine? And I said, yes. And then I did that. And people saw my picture in the magazine. And then another magazine called, and then another magazine called. And pretty soon, people know that, oh, this guy Todd, he's known for his style. So that helps my brand, my personal brand. And so I think it's important for you too. Be unique, try to stand out, be different, and help start creating your personal brand. For me, Twitter. Twitter has been a big help. Twitter, do any of you use Twitter? Twitter 혹시 뭐 쓰시는 분 있어요? 트위터 좀 쓰세요. 왜냐하면은 when you need to meet important people, how can you get introduced to them? It's not easy. 누구를 뭐 소개를 받는 게 쉽지 않아요. So, through Twitter, 빙, 그냥 멘션하시면 되잖아요. Send them a message. Maybe they'll reply. You'll be surprised. So, if you do that, people begin to start recognizing you. Oh, you are different than everybody else. When they recognize you are different from everybody else, opportunities come to you, not everybody else. I like this slide. It says, recognize the diversity around you. People say, in Korea, oh, all Koreans are the same. Koreans think that. But I think it's very different. I think there are all kinds of people here. Your ideas are different, your thoughts are different, your perspectives are different. So recognize that everybody around you, yeah, it's probably Korean, but they're still very, very different. So sometimes there are opportunities in that too. Be flexible, all right? Be flexible is very important. For me, working in Hanjeon, it was hard, 좀 힘들었어요. 혼자, 뭐 저밖에 없었어, 외국인이. So I needed to be flexible. The Korean system is the Korean system. My thinking and my system is a little bit different. If I think just my system, I'm not going to fit. So you need to be a little bit flexible. For my business, the philosophy is also very important. So when I worked at Hanjeon, when I worked at Kotra, Hanjeon and Kotra, they do 해외 사업 많이 하잖아요. So these guys are, 공무원. So when they go overseas to do big projects, 돈 큰 바지도 입고, 바지 너무 길고, 자켓 너무 넓고, 너무 그냥 이미지가 좀 떨어진다고 생각했어요. Because of that, it's not easy to get the respect that they deserve. These companies are great companies, they're doing good work, but the image 좀 그렇다. So, my philosophy is to help people recognize the importance of not being super stylish like a model, 옷차림에 좀 신경 써서, right? That first impression is a very important thing. But many people think, I don't know about clothes. I don't know about style. That's my philosophy. I want to help people understand style, develop a style, and make a good impression. So that's the philosophy of my business. 그냥 돈 위해서 일하는 건 아니고. That's not why I'm working. Of course, 잘한다면 돈 들어오잖아요. But I'm not doing it just for the money. Okay, so for me, I think it's important to be unique. And it's hard. You might think, 다 너무 쉽게 말하는 것 같아요. Maybe, but courage is a really important part, okay? These are opportunities for you. People say, it's so competitive here. What can I do? Be different. Be aware of your environment. Open your eyes objectively. 주변에 좀 객관적으로 보시면 되잖아요. Not subjectively, objectively. Build your personal brand. Prepare, prepare, prepare. 이 사업 하기 위해서 19년 동안 준비했어요. 아직도 준비하고 있어요. 부족하니까. Right? So prepare, prepare, prepare. Build your network. Make it bigger. Use the internet. Your network is not only in Korea. Your network is also outside of Korea. There are many people who are interested in Korea, but they don't have information. You are the window to that information. Learn the importance of balance, and most importantly, be courageous. It's not easy. I know. It's not easy to be courageous. In a company like Hanjeon, in a company like Hyundai Ja동cha, in a company like Kotra, it's not easy to stick your head out and say, I'm different from everybody else. But Korea is changing, and Korea needs people like that. And for me, I'm just one example of this, and trying to do my best. Maybe I'll have some mistakes along the way. I'll try to learn, and who knows, maybe 5 years later, I'll change direction again. So, This is kind of my company. Again, we're looking to help, especially guys. Women, generally, they understand their style already. Guys, they need some help. So they ask, people say, well, who is your favorite kind of customer? And my favorite kind of customer is people who come in and say, 난 옷에 대해서 아무것도 몰라. 그런 분들 왔었으면 좋겠어요. Why? 진짜 난 그렇게 생각해요. 왜냐면은 because we can learn together, right? So for this business to work, 그냥 옷에 관련 뭐 상담보다는 I need to do a lot of education. 이렇게 하시면 되잖아요. 그렇게 하시면 안 되잖아요. Right? So if I do that, hopefully people will understand that I'm trying to develop a relationship. 이거는 옷 장사 아니에요. 이거 문화 사업이라고 생각해요. Right? 수트에 관련 문화. So that is my presentation for today. I think I stayed within the time. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
Oh, I'm afraid to be on stage next year so well dressed. I'm gonna ask, be honest, but be nice.
She's lovely, isn't she? She
Do I
looks
look
great
okay?
today.
My style's okay today? Are you sure?
Your style is fantastic today.
Okay, great. I was a little nervous. I thought he might be brutally honest. But anyhow, so before we get into the Q&A, I need to make a quick announcement. At the end of all of this, at the end of our little session today, I hear that we have some special gifts prepared. We have 14 gifts aside from Mr. Sample's specially prepared gift. We have other gifts, 14 total. For example, we have a 50,000 won cultural gift certificate, 문화상품권. We also have a Bluetooth device, I hear, and also something related to TOEIC. I know a lot of you are preparing to get a job, and you might need a little help, right, with your TOEIC scores, so we have something involving that also. So stay till the very end and stay seated, and we'll be handing those out. All right, as we did with our first speaker, Mr. Studer, we're going to ask Mr. Todd Sample the same question. For 10,000 won, what would you buy, and what are you maybe giving away?
Well, as I said during the lecture, I think it's important to stand out, to be a little bit different from people. And this doesn't require a huge effort, just a small thing. And so one of the ways that I do it is with a pocket square. So today my pocket square is kind of pink. It's lovely, it's a nice point. So today I thought I would give one of you a pocket square.
Oh, how nice is that, right? So he's giving away a personal pocket square. Let's get the gift on stage before we get into your Q&A.
Okay.
All right, so yes, you're going to get personally chosen pocket square from Mr. Todd Sample. Let's see some hands in the air. Oh, we have a very enthusiastic lady. I realize I asked people from this side of the auditorium. We're going to this side now. In the front.
Thank you for your presentation. I really did enjoy your presentation. And what do you think about the difference being crazy and being unique? Because I am actually planning to work around with wearing the hanbok in Haeundae, but some of friends and my boyfriend say that it's a little bit, it looks a little bit crazy because I'm a Korean. So yeah, it could be unique during, among the foreigners, but it could be crazy in Korean. So what should I say to them? And I mean, how can I talk to them to persuade them? I mean,
okay, well that's a really good question. I think you want to wear a hanbok, right? Yeah. So that's the most important part, first of all. Secondly, crazy is something that is going to push people away. So if you're standing at Haeundae Beach wearing a hanbok, you're not going to push anybody away. They're going to be drawn to you because you're different from everybody else. So that's unique, right? Crazy, do you want to talk with a crazy person? Maybe some of you said yes. Well, okay, sometimes it's interesting, but yeah, generally crazy pushes people away and unique draws people in. So I think that now we're recognizing the importance of being different from others. And I think if you do that, you're going to make a very good impression.
Thank you. Unique versus crazy. All right. Oh, we have a gentleman very enthusiastically raise his hand. Can we get the mic to him? Right.
All right, Mr. Sample, was honored to hear your presentation.
Thank you.
And I wanna just break your brain. Like I'm not gonna ask you like hard and tough question.
I was hoping you were going to ask me a hard and tough
Oh
question.
really?
Yeah,
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Okay. What is your primary point to when you meet people, like for dress up or like your accessory or hairstyle? What is your primary point, like to appeal yourself?
Well, I think a good impression, and the good impression for me comes from size, right? Not 명품 안 입으셔도 돼요, right? It's not important. I have no 명품. So for me, color, understanding color, that's important, but size. If you have a really cheap suit that fits perfectly, it looks great. If you have a really expensive suit that's too big for you or too small for you, you look terrible. So for me, size is one of the most important things to making a good first impression. Thank you.
Good. All right, we have a lady in the third row on this side.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I want to ask something about changing direction. Do you have any advice for like undergraduates who are passionate, who have passion about something but it's not their major?
Continue developing that passion, right? My major was art history. 저는 미술사 공부했어요. 학사 할 때, right? So my major was art history. I came as an English teacher, and I thought, okay, for 1 year, I was going to do that, and I was going to go back and do graduate school in art history. I didn't do anything related to art until 2010, when another opportunity came, and I organized with a friend of mine a very large art exhibit in Korea. In Seoul and in Busan and in Gwangju. So for this art exhibit, maybe 15만 명 왔어요. And so 15 years after my major, I still used the area that I was passionate in. So it might not be your job, but sometime later in the future, you might get an opportunity related to that. So keep doing it.
Yes, I think we have time for another one? Okay.
Someone in the back?
Sure, in the back.
네, 반갑습니다. 한국에서 19년간 사셨다고 하셨는데 저 한국 대학생들이 토익이나 토플 그다음에 영어권 시험을 많이 칩니다. 근데 대학교에 들어와서도 전공에 불문하고 4년간 토익책만 들고 다니는데 이런 한국 대학교의 실태에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시는지 궁금합니다.
네, 그거는 사실은 좀 아쉬운 현실이에요. 아쉬운 현실이고요. 물론 그냥 개인적인 생각인데 영어 아주 중요하다고 생각해요. 점수보다는 뭐 창의적으로 얘기를 좀 할 수 있다면은 그런 그 능력, 실력. 그런데 이제는 영어뿐만 아니고 중국어, 불어. 왜냐면은 한국 사람들이 대부분 불어를 공부하지 않아요. 공부하지 않아서 기회가 생기는 거예요. 저도 한국말 잘하는 저는 잘하다고 생각하지 않지만 한국말 잘하는 외국인 지금 점점 많아지고 있지만 옛날에는 없었잖아요. 그래서 일본어보다는 중국어보다는 한국어 공부한다면은 잘 배운다면은 기회 반드시 있을 거라고 생각했어요. 기회가 있었어요. So if you're learning Indonesian, if you're learning French, if you're learning Spanish, 남들하고 다르게 공부하시면은 좋은 길이 있을 거라고 생각해요.
Right.
Good job.
I was getting ready to translate, and then I realized his Korean is actually better than mine, so no need for a translation. All right, I saw another hand on this side. The male student in the blue shirt.
웃긴 질문일 수도 있는데 코트라에서 아까 일하셨다고 했는데 제가 코트라에 좀 관심이 있어가지고 그 코트라에 들어가기 위해서는 좀 어떤 팁들이 이렇게 필요한지 좀 묻고 싶거든요. 그래서
네, 코트라는 아주 좋은 회사예요. 좋은 회사이고요. 들어가시기 위해서 물론 언어 실력. 아까 전에 말씀드렸던 것처럼 그냥 영어뿐만 아니고 영어 그냥 기본적으로 생각하시면 돼요. 근데 또 다른 거 러시아, 이탈리아 그렇게 잘하는 분들이 많지 않아요. 그래서 그냥 영어 실력으로 들어갈 거라고 생각한다면은 아닐 것 같아요. Right? 준비. When I was at Kotra 있을 때는 세상을 그냥 우물안 개구리처럼 바라보는 사람보다는 이렇게 많은 경험, 많은 그 인맥 가지고 있는 분들. That's very important, right? So it's not just 그냥 점수뿐만 아니고 그런 다양한 경험, 다양한 실력, right? That's a very important part. 코트라 같은 경우는 1년에 뭐 25명밖에 안 뽑잖아요. That's really hard. It's really hard. 그런데 불가능이라고 생각하지 않아요. 그래서 한번 좀 해보세요. Good luck.
All right, we have time for one final question. I have to say, the gentleman in the pink, he raised his hand first.
Okay, I like pink. 저도 pink 입고 왔어요. 일부러.
Changing your job was so hard to decide, and how did you adjust to your job? New job, and how did you try best?
Which job? So, tailoring. Well, actually, you know, leaving 한전 was very easy. 나 그거는 시원한 결정이었어. 좀 시원하네요. Because the culture there is quite strong, and 그 최초 외국인 직원으로서 그런 면에서 좀 힘들었어요. Right? 일 때문에 힘들었는 건 아니고 그냥 그 기업 문화 때문에 좀 힘든 부분이 있었어요. So for me, changing directions was actually a very easy one, but I recognized an opportunity. 저도 그 음식 쪽에 관심도 있었고, 그 다음에 뭐 다른 문화 쪽에 좀 관심이 있었어요. 그래서 계속 그냥 파악하고 있었는데, but the tailoring, I'm personally interested. 그런 개인적인 관심 가지고 있고 계속 원래 좀 가지고 있었는데요. And I recognized the strong points of Korea's tailoring system and the weak points of Korea's tailoring system, and I thought I can do it better, and I am doing it better, and I will try to continue to do it better. So 그런 좋은 기회가 있어서 힘든 결정 아니었다고 생각합니다. 네.
Thank you so much all for your questions and of course your great responses. But it's time to choose just one person. I know it's difficult, but it has to be done.
That's right. You know, I like the questions about the turning point, all right? Because I hope that you have a turning point too. When I was at Kotra, there were some people 아주 좀 튀는 사람이 있었어요. 잘 나가는 사람이 있었어요. 몇 명 뭐 그냥 기대가 없었지만 몇 명 정말 회사 좀 옮기세요. Change the company. You're too good for here. So I like the changing point. I like the courage. And so for that question, the gentleman in the white shirt, yeah, I'm going to give this to you.
All right, come on up.
Picture. Yeah, 앞으로 좀 오시기 바랍니다. 네. You are the winner.
Congratulations. I feel like a game show host today. Vanna White. All right. All right, let's get a big round of applause for our winner.
Thank you.
And once again, for our second speaker, Mr. Todd Sample.
네, 감사합니다. 네, thank you.
You know, I have to say, I don't even know where the time went, but it's time to wrap up almost our second installment of BeFM 부산영어방송 Global Talk Concert, The Invincible Youth. Some of you, even through your questions, I could sense that you're feeling kind of vulnerable. You're at a stage where you need to look for a job, and the future might seem a little bleak, but I certainly hope that you have courage, as our speakers spoke about, and you have passion, and you can have the courage to stand out. That's what I wish for all of you. You know, there's a saying that goes, every flower has a different blooming season, meaning you're not all going to bloom at the same time. You're going to peak at different times, and I certainly hope that you have the patience and the wherewithal to stick with whatever your dreams are. And I'm sure you're going to be fine. You're just worrywarts, but everything's going to be great. So the Donga University edition of BeFM 부산영어방송 Global Talk Concert will air on, as you see, BeFM 90.5, and that'll be on October 16th at 8 a.m. during Morning Wave in Busan. 제가 진행하는 프로입니다. 꼭 들으세요. And you can tune in, of course. Also, if you have a smartphone, I highly recommend you download the app, as Chad said earlier. On YouTube, they're going to upload the video, the clip of it, everything from today. And you can also check out the first installment as well as a future third and fourth installments. Your key word is going to be, or keywords are, BeFM Talk Concert. And we'll be hosting our third lecture at Bugyeong National University on September 26th at 2 p.m. We're going to have 2 brand new speakers. So if you can make the time, please join us in a couple days, actually next week. Once again, I am Catherine, the host of Morning Wave in Busan. Thank you so much for your attention and for being here today. Thank you.